It's to call yourself the best in the world.
It's all about that player pride, Jacob. We know just how much is truly contained amongst so many of these trios competing here today. But starting things off hot already,
I can't believe it. Today's the day, chat. Today's the day.
Pablo, he's been taken down. Chino's fallen too. It's Tayson with the comeback. Prodoxy trying to see if he can lock it down for his team. But Tayson determined to remove Prodoxy's team. And sure enough, disaster strikes. Prodoxy's trio fully down and out for the count. And Tayson has claimed the area.
Already one of our contested fights, 1-0. And do you see this already? They're already not landing at Dystopia City. Everybody was talking about it. They heard the rumors. I kept my ears to the streets all week long to figure out what their game plan was. And scrims leading up to this weren't necessarily netting the best results. And now you see them already over towards Foxy Floodgates. And what this does not only affect Visuals, Braids, and Minish. This also affects Agers, Acorn, and Pollo. This is the team. They typically trade off Surge into the distance. Now they're already disrupting the game plan.
Not the only ones. Veno, Flixie, Vico. They've got Rise in their sights, completely tackling all opposition here at Canyon Crossing. Rise doing what he can to try and stay alive, but entirely too many players to overcome. Veno breaks right through, and that's going to be the first knock. Another elimination tallied up here for Vika, Veno, and Flixie. Coyota, the sole survivor of this exchange.
And Coyota has pulled out a ton of tricks throughout his career, both online and in global events just like this. But early on in game number one, he's already being forced to play out some of those tricks. He has to disengage, stay alive a little bit longer, and try to have a chance back. But you hear the crowd in the background, Swizzy, Queasy, and Mustache, uncontested at the Hive. And some are looking at this, could be one of the best POIs. You get the experience for your OXR rank, the medallion, the mythic weapons, a lot of extra heals at the POI itself, and then the elevation. Kelly and Mini Miner were breaking it down so that way they could start to build that base early and accumulate the Storm Surge, so that way later on in the game they could easily start to rotate around.
And most importantly of all, they're uncontested here at Hive. Whether that stays true throughout the course of this weekend, well, that'll be determined by how things develop, but other teams still caught up in a little bit of battle processing at the start of this match. Dystopia City heating up. Epic Whale, Paper, Victor V, they made it very clear they had zero intentions of ever leaving this POI. So Tete, Raito, Razo, they're going to have to force some sort of a conclusion to this exchange before the third parties start to trickle in.
Yeah, and it's not just Cold and his trio that are over on this side of the map that they have to watch out for. You see a team at the bottom of your mini-map. They can easily try to rotate towards the north, disrupt what's going on. So that's going to be one of the key aspects to a fight like this, but you're already seeing a flank going around from Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual. They're ready to take advantage no matter what happens here, no matter who comes out on top. It's going to be them, but Tay takes a big shot. Epic Whale, the 6-time FNCS champion, dealing a massive amount of damage.
Tay down to his last little bits of HP though. Epic Whale, he's going to have to take a moment to also get some relief. Paper, nice supportive fire, and that's a big elimination cleanup onto Tay. But now, Cold, Ritual, they're starting to close in. They're interested in everything that Raito has to offer, and that's going to be the first knock here for Cold. An immediate elimination, but they've already signaled to Epic Whale, Faber, and Victor V that they've got company. Shields are cracked. Peterbot's not letting anybody escape his sights. Peterbot's aim is just notoriously strong, and he is chasing them full on key with those crash pads. He might be able to make it before they can pull off the double revive. He's challenging the wall. Victor V trying to do what he can to defend. Victor V goes up. Peterbot shut down. Cold, Ritual. They don't need this. They don't want this. They're looking to see if they can still clean up the exchange, but without Peterbot, they're going to be forced to temporarily retreat.
This is almost exactly how it was playing in some of those practice games. But this time, Paper, Epic Whale, and Victor V, they're being the aggressors in some of these situations. They try to disengage. Epic Whale goes down, but Victor V does it again. He was a huge part of them even making it to the global stage, clutch after clutch when his team went down through 4 different drop spots. But now the foot has been turned. Cold and Ritual now need to start to think in and outside of the box. How do we get our IGL back? This is exactly what Victor V did, from the revive to in the box, shutting down Peter Bot early.
Just so greedy there by Pete. Victor V doing exactly what he needs to, showcasing what kind of a fragger he is. But Atris, Tayson, in a spot of trouble here. A couple of splashes. Gonna ensure that Chicho is still good to go. But Chicho, he needs an opportunity here for his team. Provide a little bit more backup. FKS tries to apply pressure from a separate angle. Odd Hero also looking to see if they can get some good aggressive fire through. But things are just picking up at Rangers Ruin. And Tayson going to be able to pull things out to a little bit of a standstill now. Chicho, Atris, Tayson, they might not actually have to force this battle.
Yeah, it seems like they're overall just kind of prioritizing, trying to get as much surge.
Can we do, oh my god, chat. Come on, quick, dude. What do you mean? Dude, it's happening right now. Chat, are you serious? It's downloading? Chat, let's go. Oh, load in. Load in, bro.
A bunch. You know, me being an NA West fan, this was their game plan all along. Contested or not, they're going to push either toward the north or the south. They feel like these teams are easy to fight, and already that confidence continues to build. But Goofy is just trying to slow things down just a little bit, and Monster Shot to take down the shield of Salco. But Ark and School, the IGL and the Fragger, they're still there. They're holding the walls and making sure nobody can get out of this one.
I mean, being honest, Ark's been running it all week long inside of the scrim lobbies, inside of the practice room. He is more than content to take up a box fight with anybody, and especially if he's got his teammates right next to him. You can see the confidence from the NA West boys, but Oshi still doing their best to hold their own despite being down a player. It doesn't seem to be deterring them. They know they can't really leave this area because they're likely to be third party. They've got to just find a way to delay and hope that they have that little bit of a saving grace from another team entering the exchange.
Uh-oh, I see somebody rotating relatively close. They said, hey, where's our invitation? We want to join this party. We want to figure out how we need to approach this situation, and they're lurking all the way underneath. So it's going to be Salco, School, and Ark, the ones that need to watch out just a little bit. Vortex and Goofy, they're just trying to hold their ground as much as possible. But this is the thing, against a team like Ark, School, and Salco, when you try to hold your ground like this, that's for them a sign of weakness. They're going to continue to put that pressure down. If you look at their material as well, they don't need to disengage out of this fight. They can wait as long as they want, because in essence, they're just denying you time, they're denying you opportunity, and denying the chance to get that reboot back.
But it might not be as prime as what it initially appeared, not with Queasy hovering in the distance. You can see they got a little bit of elevation to work with too. They're bound to take notice of what's going down. Elsewhere across the map though, south of Hive, King, PA's in, Phaser getting fraggy up against Scarpa and Way. And that's going to be an easy cleanup there for King's team. Feeling really good about that aggressive start.
Now over towards Supernova, and already early on, Taco, you can kind of see where the zone is favoring a little bit towards the north, massively towards the west. So even though Clix, Higgs, and Yamzo haven't had to rotate just yet, they can focus on trying to get as much Storm Surge as possible. They've run into trouble. There's a speed bump in their plan. That's Reet, Cooper, and Curly. And he was very vocal, Reet was. He said, hey, we understand what's going on around the lobby. We just got to make some things happen. They have 2 early eliminations. That comes with Storm Surge itself, and they're continuing to rotate through so many other teams' loop paths and pathways.
There's also just so much confidence behind Reet and just teaming with a
Chat, I'm gonna hide there.
bound to just have that trickle-down effect to his teammates. Not to say that Cooper and Curly aren't clearly thinking of themselves in the same way, but it is a huge positive. But every single time this weekend, Jacob, that we see the Gentlemates, Malabuka, Ping, loading across the screen here, just waiting to find their reposition opportunity. That soul elimination on Malabuka right now, but tailing just behind Yapko, Panzer, and Seti. This could be disastrous if they don't realize what's coming up behind them.
Yeah, there's no audio visuals that far away, so they're just going to try to get some easy surge. You see the launch pads coming out. That's a huge signal. Seti and Panzer have to kind of second guess if they want to go for it, because Yapko's just getting beam targeted out of the sky. Just one shot left is all they need, but he possibly leaves that render distance and figures out a way to survive. Heads up to Seti and the Panzer. They not only building that to try to fire back on him, but that coincidentally enough shielded their teammate Yapko for him to survive.
They fully protected their trio mate. That's just excellent team play, but pulling back, Baka, Pars, Pump. A little bit tangled up right now north of Supernova Academy. Saad, Snowy, and Ryu, though, arguably in a slightly worse position, but the intention is clear. These two teams very likely to clash here, Jacob. They could both definitely utilize Surge. We know just how high those numbers and that threshold can truly climb.
Yeah, and these are two teams. I think they land relatively close to one another, almost contesting each other even. During some of those practice games, they were actually kind of feeling each other out, fighting it out, but neither team kind of won that scenario, no matter if they won the fight or not. So they're trying to take a slower approach, but that means they're rotating parallel with the zone moving towards the north, stay towards the dead side of it all, and just try to make sure they have the best chances to survive what could be a very, very chaotic Storm Surge if it does deactivate. And that's why you're seeing so many teams taking that proactive approach to try to gain some elevation, some high ground, and even if it means fighting it out on the Surge base.
Hero, he knows Wixie is low. Nobody there to provide a little bit of backup either. That could be the first knock here. Hero with the big opening. FKS going to capitalize immediately, throws that body back into their box space control, and now FKS trying to make the approach from above. Just so aggressive though. Hero's gonna be forced to pull back just a little bit. Too much firepower breaking through, but Buyuriru just not healthy enough. Barely enough HP, and he can't escape from FKS. Aetherus even getting a little bit more involved from a distance, and this is part of the problem with trying to take some of these extended box fights. You just got these teams from so far away beaming through your walls.
Yeah, just got yoinked away. But Kanata, Rapid, and Bulge. Kanata's perfection continues in terms of qualifying for every single FNCS Grand Finals in the history of FNCS. But I think he coming with a different energy this time around. If you remember a few years ago, contested against Malabuka and Thomas at the Global Championship, he just had a different mindset. He's like, I'm contested, it's not gonna go well. This time, he's confident. He says, hey, we're going to win. And the way they've been playing lately, they have as good a chance as anybody at taking that top spot.
A little bit of a sleeper, maybe under the radar team there, but Vanya, Mariez, Pixie, one of our major champion winners in EU, and now looking to see if they can extend their dominance across the globals stage. Vanya, Mariez, Pixie, just steadily trying to creep up on the opposition, but thinking twice, recognizing a couple of the teams local to their area. They don't want to overextend here, but for Mariez, he's just waiting to see whether or not he can break out these floors from underneath Valor and Mansour, doing a decent job to prevent Vanya, Pixie, and Mariez from an outright collapse.
Yeah, and they're just kind of playing as calculated as they can. We've seen a lot of these fights kind of not necessarily end as smoothly and as cleanly as some of these trios would expect, especially with so many third-party potential there. You know, we saw Aetherus just kind of yoink that elimination away early on in this game, and now Vanya just trying to target it after. He feels like he has him soloed out, dropped him down a few layers, but he's able to catch himself and not let this pressure get to him too much. But they're in the zone, Taco, and that kind of depletes any opportunity from heal off later on in the game the longer and longer you stay in this situation. But even if they win this here, they have to be careful. One team in front of them out of zone. You saw Chaff, you saw Reason, Mr. Savage. They're towards the north of them, so this is not going to be as dead side or rotate as they think it will.
But the main thing that I'm noticing, Jacob, is that Vanya, Mariez, they're not carrying any white heals. So unless Pixie actually has something to work with, yeah, these guys are going to just have to get out of this position. They can't afford to keep tanking these early storm ticks. It's just not worth it. But on their way out, Valor and Mansour definitely not going to make it easy. Cole, Ritual, Peterbot, they might have just found Flixie and Venno with Vico, but for right now, Rangers Ruin what seems like it might have been heating up, these guys are actually looking to kind of slow it down.
Yeah, and for, you know, Ritual and his trio, they just kind of have scraps. They got sticks and stones. And look at this on the other side. Multiple minis, big pots, full health, almost max mats. And even though they don't necessarily have that information on one another, that is a great decision for them to kind of go their separate ways, because I would almost give that one up to Veno and his trio if that did fight it out. Continuing looking around, Cammy, how the eye drop all the way from the Shining Span Bridge. And honestly, even though they're on different teams, Seti, Cammy, I don't know if it would have been the same global championship without him, but Storm Surge finally showing its face. 602 damage above the threshold. As much as I want to feel confident, we know that can change in the blink of an eye.
Oh, easily, but Acorn and Agers, they might just be the ones to actually intervene here. They seemingly have favorable positioning, but Cammy, a little bit of pressure applied with the approach now. Malibuka, Ping, and Walks just trying to be wary. There is so much company in that area. It's very easy. Just one window edit for too long, you could easily be domed and taken down.
Uh-oh, 321 damage below the threshold. This is the two-time NA West champions. In Major 1, they won 6 out of 12 games, just dominating the region. But contested off spawn, it tends to do things to you, especially when the team is running away. But they're still hot on the hills. These are still the two teams rotating parallel to one another. But Baka, Pars, and Pump, they've now ran out of options. Their hand is being forced, and they have to go in because Storm Surge will activate, and every 7 seconds they will take 25 damage.
But the worst part still, Saad not actually in the same position. His team relatively healthy for their surge, at least for right now, Jacob. Bars, Baka, Pump, they're going to take a moment to pause.